Alright guys, welcome back to another Master and Apprentice LEGO Star Wars review. Today we've got the brand new LEGO Imperial Star Destroyer retailing for $160 with 1555 pieces. As you can see, this is a 25th anniversary set, so we've got the special 25th anniversary LEGO Star Wars box art and the special minifigure. Now we'll get into the minifigures in a little bit. As we see, we've got all the minifigures that come with the set down on the bottom right. And then I do want to point out, I actually think the box art on this is very slick. It looks really nice. Got the Death Star and other Star Destroyers in the back. But otherwise, there's not too much else from the front. It's just a standard Imperial Star Destroyer. The Star Destroyer is a set they've made multiple times. I don't have any built on hand, but as we'll go through, you'll see this is a relatively smaller set, even compared to Moff Gideon's Imperial Cruiser that came out just a couple years ago. For the back box art, it's the same old, just showing off the displays, play accessibilities, play functions of the set. Those who are interested in buying it can kind of see what you get with it. It does look like the scene that we get in The Mandalorian where he's parked his Razor Crest on Mon Calamar. I don't know if that actually is what that is, but it looks very similar. You can even see on the back top right, there's like a walker that is very reminiscent from that episode and The Mandalorian. The first minifigure we're going to go over is just an Imperial crew member. This is not really a special minifigure we've gotten a couple of times. It is a newer minifigure. We haven't gotten any Imperial officers or crew members in a little bit, so it's nice to kind of get one in more recent time. But you can see just pretty standard printing in the front, kind of what you'd expect from any Imperial officer or crew member. There's a little bit of light printing, which is nice, but I don't think much was even needed, to be honest. He does come with a face print that has like the headpiece, so that's nice. If we turn him around, you can see there's just a little bit of back art, but really nothing to look at. It's just a little bit of ruffling and detailing. Overall, pretty standard minifigure. I personally like when we get officers and crew members and things like that. It's really nice for mocks to kind of fill out your builds. But, at the same time, it's sometimes bland. Either way, how you look at it, this minifigure isn't bad, not great, it's just a minifigure. The next minifigure we have is the Imperial Gunner. We did get a minifigure like this not that long ago in a set with Obi-Wan and an Imperial Gunner where Obi-Wan's turning off the hyperdrive on the Death Star. I forget what the set's called, but the picture will be on the screen. This minifigure is, again, nothing really special, but a nice minifigure for mocks and things like that, just to kind of fill out builds. This one's no different. Not really much of an updated print by any means. You can see he's got the Imperial logo right there on the head. The printing on the body and the legs is, it's detailed. It's nice to have something not just bland black printing and nothing else. So that's nice to have. As we see, if we take off the helmet here, it does come with a face underneath, but that's really about it. Again, this minifigure isn't bad or good. It's just a minifigure, right? I guess you could say it's good. It's not great, is what I would say. It's a nice minifigure to have in this set and just have in general. Then we have the Imperial Navy Trooper. It's been a little bit since we've gotten one of these, so it's nice to get one of these in this set as well. Again, nothing crazy about this minifigure. Some pretty standard printing. I'd say a little bit of updated printing. The helmet is as big, as bulky as ever. Every time I see this helmet, it just reminds me of Spaceballs. A picture on screen, you'll understand why. A fun minifigure in general to have. Again, nothing crazy about this one. This one doesn't really have much of leg printing, but it didn't really need anything. The only thing I could say is they did give it to the Imperial Gunner. I don't really know why they didn't give it to him. I don't know. Maybe there's a picture on screen showing why. There's not much detail, maybe. Either way, not the biggest harp on the world, but it would have been a nice, I guess. And on the back, we can see if we take off the helmet, he is double-faced, which is nice. None of the other minifigures really are, so that's nice for this one. And he does have a little bit of back printing, but really not much. Again, just some detailing to kind of fill out the torso. Again, a nice minifigure to have. You can see he does come with a blaster, and I forgot to mention with the Imperial Gunner, he did come with a blaster. The only one that really didn't was the crew member. In some pictures they had it, but in some pictures they didn't. Whereas the rest of the minifigures always had their weapon with them. So that is there to say. Again, a nice minifigure to have, nothing to die for, but it's just nice to have. Then we have the Stormtrooper of the set. Um, we get these all the time. This one's one of the updated ones with a new helmet. It's nice to have. It's nothing crazy. It does come with a face underneath, just a normal face. Nothing crazy about this. Stormtrooper comes with a standard blaster. I'm not even going to show off the back. You've seen the Stormtrooper dozens and dozens of times in the last couple of years, so this is nothing new with this minifigure either. Then we have another cool minifigure, I'd say. This is actually one of the cool minifigures for me personally. I'm big into like the Imperial Navy and all of the Star Destroyers and just the naval fleet of the Empire in general. This is a cool guy to get. If you didn't realize without looking at him or looking at the box, this is Commander Praji. He is a Star Destroyer commander, so it's really cool to get him. But without looking at the box, you would just look at this minifigure and think this is just a standard commander or captain. Like there's really not much special about him. And if you put a picture of him on the screen, I mean, the printing isn't really that awful. He kind of is just a standard character in the Star Wars universe, but it's kind of one of those cool characters to have named in Lego. It's just nice. There's nothing wrong with that. Lego doesn't go out of their way. They don't have to do anything special, but they do give us a named character, and that's nice for the fans, for the people who really care about the ins and outs of Star Wars lore, like myself. So, with that all being said, this minifigure really isn't special. There's not much to him. He does come with a pistol. He does have the commander insignia on his top right or top left chest. He doesn't even have any leg printing, but not much was needed. He does not have a double-sided face. He has the commander captain on top, as we see. Back printing, same as usual, just a little bit of ruffles for the detailing. Overall, I really think this is cool for Lego to do something like this. I always appreciate it. Like the Admiral we get in the TIE Bomber, Admiral Sloan, it's really not that crazy of a character to get. Like, I mean, in minifigure form, like you just look at them and you think it's just a normal standard commander or captain. But for fans who really care about the books and the lore, the ins and outs of the movies and shows, it's really cool to have a named character. I just appreciate it, and I'm glad Lego did that. Otherwise, a pretty standard minifigure. And last but not least, we have Darth Vader. This is the upgraded Darth Vader we've got in the last year or two. I think this is the pinnacle of Vader that we've seen from Lego. I really don't think they can get much better. In fact, my theory on this is if it's not broke, don't fix it. Lego, really, I don't think they need to do anything else with this Vader. The one thing you could say is his cape that he comes with is like the more sandpapery one, the little bit rougher one. I always prefer the more silk capes. They're just harder to mess up, in my opinion. They're a little bit harder to rip. They're a little bit harder to form and bend in shapes that you don't want. I always just prefer those capes, but that's a personal preference. This minifigure in general is, again, the pinnacle of Darth Vader in Lego form. It comes with the upgraded print on the arms, the legs, torso. We'll show the arms off in a second, but first I'm going to take off the helmet. Comes with just a standard Darth Vader head with the scarring and all of that. Nothing new with this character by any means. You can see there on the arm, it's a nice print with like the metallic shoulder pads. I've always loved this. This is really cool. I appreciate Lego puts that bit of extra detail on the arms, just the arms. We can see underneath the cape, he does have a little bit of ruffling on the torso print, just some extra detail for the character. Overall, it's a pretty standard Darth Vader. We get pretty much the exact same one in the TIE Bomber set that I just mentioned a couple seconds ago. Um, Overall, a really awesome minifigure. But if you're a Lego Star Wars fan, you've been collecting Lego Star Wars sets in general in the last couple of years, you probably already have a Darth Vader, if not two or three. And then we get our bonus minifigure, Cal Kestis. This one I am both disappointed and happy to get. It's a sweet and sour feeling. It's really awesome to finally get Cal Kestis. This is a character that's beloved by fans in really recent light because of the Jedi Fallen and Jedi Survivor games. And it's really cool to finally get him. We just had the BD1 buildable character set come out a year or two ago. So that's really awesome that we're finally getting some Jedi Fallen Order content. On the negative side, though, it is a 25th anniversary minifigure. And as we've seen with the trend with the other minifigures, they're kind of doing characters they really do otherwise, which leads me to believe this isn't a character we're going to see in sets coming up. It's not out of the realm of possibilities, but it, in other words, means we're not going to be getting Jedi Fallen Order or Survivor content in Lego form, at least not anytime soon. And that's unfortunate because I love those games and it'd be really cool for Lego to make some fun sets such as the Mantis, right? or just the Darth Vader versus Seer Junda duel scene. Just some really fun scenes from those games would be fun in Lego. And this character kind of, in other words, means we're not going to be getting those anytime soon. The other thing is he doesn't come with a BD1. We see that Leia, who is another 25th anniversary, she has her droid companion, and the BD1 is actually smaller and only one piece in one mold. So I don't really know why they didn't include it. The only reason you could say is he already has an accessory with his lightsaber, but I think that's nitpicking, and we should be getting BD1 because we don't see Cal without BD. We don't see BD without Cal. Other words, this minifigure is awesome. The printing is really, really fun. The leg printing is great. Torso printing, head printing, hair, perfect. I love it all. It would be also really nice, I guess, if he came with a poncho. He doesn't, but we see Cal plenty of times without a poncho. That wasn't a necessity. That was just kind of like a fun thing the fans wanted. We can see here on the back, if we take off the hairpiece, he does come with a double-sided face, an extra expression, which is nice for a character who's, again, a 25th anniversary and more display. They didn't have to do this. This was fun for them to do. And then some pretty good back printing as well, but just more detailing from the front. But again, nice printing additionally. This 25th anniversary is one of the ones I'm most excited about, most impressed by. Like I said, I think the biggest downside is just the realization that we're probably not going to be getting any Jedi Survivor or Fallen Order content in Lego form in the near future. It's not out of the realm of possibilities for the far future or even for the upcoming Jedi game, the trilogy that we know we're getting. Again, that's not anytime soon, which is unfortunate for fans who were hoping for some Lego Jedi Fallen Order content. And then we have the main part of the set, the big build, the Star Destroyer. Now, I'll do some comparisons here in a second, but without the comparisons, it doesn't look that small. But trust me, building it, you kind of realize how small it is relatively quickly. The base of this set is built in just 2 or 3 bags, which just feels weird. And I don't think it ruins the set because there's lots of play functions and features, and the minifigures are really fun, and overall it's fun, but it is small. And for people who are Star Wars fans, when you get a Star Destroyer, one of the biggest attractions is just the sheer size of the monstrosity of the Star Destroyer. They're just giant. I mean, we open up A New Hope with a giant scene of the giant Star Destroyer. I mean, that's part of the draw to the Star Destroyers is their sheer size. And that's just a nitpick. I know some fans aren't going to care about that, especially because the play features and functions of this set are pretty good. Now, if we look up here in the front and top, it's just really great paneling. There's really no printing on any of these pieces, but you didn't really need any printing. It does a really good job with the tiling work. We'll show a play function here real quick. On the front, you have these turrets. They're really nicely built in an order. You can see you just move them and rotate them by moving this lever here on the back. That's really nice. I know some fans would probably prefer that you just move it by yourself and you can set it by yourself. That one's kind of up for choice, what you prefer or not. You can technically move each one by itself, but then you would ruin the order of them moving in unison. So it's kind of pick your poison, what would you prefer, because that's kind of how it's going to be built. So as we see here in the front, again, pretty great paneling. I'll show you how you open it up. It's kind of a new, unique way to open up a Star Destroyer. Usually you just lift the sides open, or there's some sort of geared or lever to kind of unlock it. But this is kind of different, and I'm interested. I don't know if I like it, but it's unique, and I can appreciate Lego for doing something unique. But first, we're going to look at some of the paneling. Stickering up front, nice detailing. There's no way to really open this inside. It's kind of just built in sturdy like that. Some other Star Destroyers, they've had a little bit of like Easter eggs and play functions with the bridge of the ship. This doesn't have that. The other thing real quick is the handle in this set is built in. It's kind of hidden. So you open up those panels and then you can just lift right there. Very nice. I know personally, I've never really been too worried about the handle of a set, mostly because when I build a set, I'm either displaying it or packing it up. I don't really play with them anymore. But for kids, this is a really nice play feature and function because it does not take away from anything aesthetically. So like I said, that's really nice. But as I said, there's a handle. This set doesn't really need a handle in all honesty. This set is really thick. 3C's thick. This set doesn't need a handle. You can pick it up from one end. You can even pick it up from the bridge, which is pretty crazy because it's not intended for that by any means, but this set's just thick. So that's a nice thing, I guess, but in the same sense, the handle takes away from that. Either or, it's nice to have both options for picking the set up and having the trust that the set isn't going to fall apart on you. To open up the set, this piece comes right off. This piece comes right off. It just slides in and out. It kind of sits on top of the handle piece. It doesn't really click in place by any means. So it's kind of a weird design, but again, unique design. I don't know if they've done this before in the past. It's the first time I've seen it. It's still cool nonetheless. I can appreciate some new ideas from Lego. But then the rest of the set opens up like any of the other Star Destroyers. You just open it up by pulling these panels out, and then voila, you have open access to the interior of the ship. So we do have a bridge here for your minifigures to walk on. And then we have some just play features and functions back here. Really just mostly display stuff, but there's some accessories. You can put some guns down. These crates both have some thermal detonators and some binoculars. So a lot of fans are probably curious whether you can close this set or leave it closed while you have minifigures inside, just because of how small it is. And if you have them sitting at the computers here in the front, you can close it. If you really have them sitting anywhere, you can have them close it. If you have them standing in the back, you can close it. But if you have them standing on the bridge, you cannot close it. And if you have them standing anywhere down here where there's other computers, you really can't get them in there, to be honest, but you can't close it. Well, that doesn't do it justice, but when I tried to put the panel on the front, it kind of pushed them down and pushed it out of place. So you can have them sitting and you can have them standing in the back, which is nice. But if you wanted to have like a scene where Darth Vader is standing on the bridge and you wanted to open it up for like a shot or a view, you couldn't really have that. You would have to put him in there every time you open and close it. Not that big of a deal, but that would have been nice to have, I guess. Either way, the interior is nothing to die over, but it's just nice. It's for kids. It'd be really cool to see this, especially the bridge and how they have the guy sitting down here. It's very reminiscent of the original trilogy when we see Darth Vader walking on the bridge, looking down at all the officers and pilots and all of that. So that's really nice. Overall, again, the interior is nothing to die over, but it is still nice. Real quick before we get to the back with the thrusters, the spring-loaded shooters were very well hidden, which I always appreciate when Lego does, because sometimes they really take away from the aesthetic of the ship. This does not by any means. So they're built in right there. You can see the green tips, and then the way you fire them is simply just by pushing down this lever, and it fires. So very simple, very easy to load, and does not take away by any means from the aesthetic of the ship. So before we get to the thrusters and the engine, real quick, I don't know if this was supposed to be like a compartment or what, but they do show off that you can open that and put things in there. I don't know if you're supposed to just like throw something in there, like the weapons or an extra minifigure or whatnot, but that does open and close. You can put stuff in there, so that's nice for extra space with a relatively smaller set. Then we come down here to the bottom with the engines and thrusters. It's a little bit of a different build than they've done in past with the thrusters and engine. It's a little bit smaller and tighter, but it looks way more accurate, and I think it looks better. It doesn't sag. You don't have to worry about anything being too big and bulky and getting caught on things. It looks very fresh and very clean, and I like it. And it's tucked in from the cap and the lip, which sometimes in other Lego sets and other Star Destroyers, they're more out, which is inaccurate. They're supposed to be underneath the cap of the Star Destroyer. So that's nice to have that accuracy finally. But the only thing I can mention in the back is the building technique that is forbidden. This panel piece just clips into that. Lego, how dare you? This is high treason. So, like I said, compare sizes a little bit. We have the gunship, the brand new Millennium Falcon from our last review. If you guys haven't seen that, go check that out now. Card on top of the screen, and then the brand new Imperial Star Destroyer. The Star Destroyer is a little bit bigger than the gunship, which you would think, yeah, it should be. And it's not bigger by much, though. And that's the problem. And then you compare it to the brand new Millennium Falcon. And the Millennium Falcon is the exact same of the 2019 Millennium Falcon, just a color swap, in all honesty, with some better minifigures, in my opinion. So with those things being said, you would expect it to be bigger than both, a lot bigger than the gunship, and a bit bigger than the Millennium Falcon, but it's not bigger than the Millennium Falcon, and it's really not much bigger than the gunship. It is bigger than the gunship in lengthwise, but it's not wider, and it's not wider than the Millennium Falcon, and it's not longer than the Millennium Falcon. So I can see some complaints and people saying $160 for something that's as big as the Millennium Falcon when it's supposed to be much bigger. And obviously, Lego has some restraints in making sets too big and too small, especially with the price point. But could have, I think, in my opinion, given up some of the space inside to make the ship a little bit larger. Again, and this is just my personal preference and opinion, is the size of the Star Destroyer is probably one of the most important parts of it. Again, one of the attractions of the Star Destroyer was its sheer size in the original trilogy. It was just a Goliath, and that was before we even saw the Executor. So, with all those things being said, I wish it would have been a little bit longer. I don't unfortunately have any of the other Star Destroyer builds, a Finalizer, Imperial Light Cruiser out. I have a couple of them, but I don't have them built and out to compare. But you can see the Millennium Falcon is the same size pretty much. So I don't know how you guys feel about it. That's just my personal preference. We'll get into the final part of the review now. So, with all that being said, I don't think this is a bad set because of the size or anything like that. It just takes it away from me personally. This isn't a set I'm going to keep displayed because it's just not that big. And if I have a Millennium Falcon out, it really makes it look small. I know it's not small, but it makes it look small because the Star Destroyer is supposed to be much bigger than the Millennium Falcon. So with all those things being said, I do enjoy this set. I really enjoy the minifigures. I know a lot of fans are going to say they're pretty lame because most of them are just kind of like standard nobodies. A lot of them are NPCs, to be honest. But I enjoy those. I enjoy getting some nice name characters like Commander Praji, Darth Vader, and Cal Kestis, and some other not named characters who are just there to be there. I can appreciate that kind of selection of minifigure. And the interior for the Star Destroyer is nice. While I don't care about it all that much, I'd rather more size to my Star Destroyer. It's still nice, and the play features and functions are nice to this. So I'm going to be giving this set a 7 out of 10. I recommend it. It's only 160. It's not crazy bad. I would try to wait to find it on sale, but especially for that Cal Kestis, this is what you're going to kind of want to get your hands on. It's a really cool minifigure to get. It's a 25th anniversary. You're not going to get a 25th anniversary minifigure ever again. So just because of that, it's a huge selling point. But if you already have another Star Destroyer and you don't care about Cal Kestis or the 25th anniversary, you probably don't need to get this because this is smaller and the other Star Destroyers are better, in my opinion. So with all that being said, like I said, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments. If you guys don't like the set, like this set. If you like the size, don't like the size. What would you prefer? If you prefer a better interior over size or size over interior. All of that down in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. And we will see you guys in the next video.